Greetings, Patrick here. Eight questions with it's Wednesday. It is our second and last show of the week, as far as the eight questions goes. And we will be talking with the cast and crew of the new independent film, which I have taken a peek at. Um, we'll be talking with Travis White, who is one of the producers of the film. And the movie we'll be talking about, the cast and crew, will be The Eagle Death of Queen Cecilia. Really interesting movie, actually. Very interesting movie. Um, Cautionary tale, if anything else. And it's actually very timely. It's a very timely film about a young lady who becomes YouTube famous and discovers that that can last less than 15 minutes worth of fame. Um, Whatever YouTube famous means, right? And so the film just depicts her trying to get back up there, trying to become famous again, and what she'll do to what lengths will she go to become that. Um, it's really interesting. It's a really interesting film too, in the fact that the lead actress Joe Schaefer had absolutely zero experience acting. They met by she met the director or I think it was the director, yeah, Chris, solely by accident, solely by pure accident. And they started talking, and she was cast in the role of Cecilia. And I think they made a brilliant casting choice. Uh, I think this is the type of movie it's perfectly casted. Um, I like movies like this that aren't afraid to show, like the glamorous. And sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's just living day to day. And not everybody that you see is out there, who wants to be famous or who is famous or what have you. Um, not everything is driven by looks or bartering on their sexuality to get ahead. Um, I thought this was a very interesting casting choice for this movie, and I liked it a lot. All right, so they'll be here in about 15 minutes. I just saw from our friend and the gentleman who we had on our show yesterday, Daryl Hook. He just posted that football player, former football player, and wrestler Steve McMichael has passed away from ALS. Um, God damn, that guy fought ALS probably longer than anybody else I know. That guy was Steve McMichael was a beast. He played football. He was a great football player. Played for Chicago Bears. He went by the name of Mongo, off the character in Blazing Saddles. After his pro football career ended, he went on to wrestling, and he had some success there, including being a member of one of the greatest stables ever known, and that would be the Four Horsemen. Um, but then he did other things as well. Did play by play. He was made several public appearances, but then he got ALS, and he got that a long time ago. God, and all he wanted to do, when it looked really bad, he wanted to live long enough to see himself being nominated for the Hall of Fame. Being and Nobody gave him a chance. I did. I thought I saw how sick he really was. I'm like, there's just no way you're gonna make that. But you know what? But more power to you. Well, if he didn't prove everybody wrong, everybody but his family wrong, that son of a bitch, he beat it. He beat it. He came out there. He lived long enough to be nominated. His friends came over. All his teammates came over. They all celebrated with him. Unfortunately, he won't be there to go on the stage in August. But you know what? He already did what he wanted to do. And congratulations to him. And way to go out on your shield, Mongo. Way to go out on your damn shield. Um, I get that. I saw my warrior. I saw my warrior go out the same way. Go out on the shield, right? That's all we ever want. We just want to go out on our own terms, on our own way. So yeah. Uh, see what else is going on today. Not too much. Not too much. Um, had a great show last night with Daryl. I really enjoyed talking to him. He was so fun, and I can't wait to see his movie come out. His Stoner Snake. I think it's gonna be a hoot. It's gonna be a hoot. And and thank you. And I have so much respect for him being honest. He could have played a couple of my questions really coy. He could have not answered them at all. But he buckled up and he said, "Yeah, let me answer your question." Um, I love the fact that he is a true independent lover of movies. When we asked him, about the people who he liked to work with, five actors and five actresses, you always suspect the big names coming from, from a question like that. Whereas, well, Darrow, he names big names in independent. He including our mutual admiration for Steve Brzezinski and his lovely wife Eileen. Um, we both admire them quite a bit. There's other names that he posted out there that he admired and would like to work with, and I appreciate it. I thought it was really interesting. Like, wow, not the big names that you would think, right? So, yeah, that was interesting. That was interesting. Let's see. We did finally put up after a week, right? We did finally put up our Dollar Theater. We put out Spitfire that came out yesterday. Um, of course, it's like an independent movie. Um, you pick out something like that, like a Spitfire, and you know damn well that no one's going to come over and watch it. And no one's going to pay. No one's going to pay any attention to it. But you hope that somebody will come over to see what the Spitfire is about. Maybe go out there and buy the documentary. It's extremely well done documentary. I was so impressed, so lucky to have found it. Even got to have some cool dialogue with a couple of other World War II fans on their YouTube channel. Um, so that was really fun. And then today, we put out me and the Cheetah. We put out our review of Long Legs. Um, we just weren't fans. Well, we weren't fans. But I know there, like I said, I know there's a lot of people that are. It does have me very curious. Um, very curious because when I was looking at, when I mentioned there in my review about Sheeran, uh, um, Kieran Shipka, she had actually worked with Osgood Perkins before on a movie called The Black Coat's Daughter. Now I've had The Black Coat's Daughter for many years. I just have never watched it before, but it definitely got me curious. Now that like she was definitely the best part of the movie for me, in long way. She stole every scene she was in. But now I'm really curious to see exactly what she was like during The Black Coat's Daughter. Now I didn't get a chance to see Sabrina, her take on Sabrina, that that which is, I know, right? I got the first two seasons of Riverdale, but unfortunately, Sabrina went straight to streaming, so I don't know if it ever got released for physical media or not. Uh, as far as I know, it came out on Netflix. I'm not sure if it ever did or not. I think with Warner Brothers, I think with Warner Brothers, they probably did. They probably did release it. I just haven't seen it. I just haven't seen it. But I would love to. And she's an interesting actress too. Very interesting. and I'm looking forward to seeing the Black Coast Daughter. Um, yeah. So that's what we did today. We put that up. We put that up. We do have some things coming up here on the channel. Um, that are coming. This is our last show of the week as far as the interview series goes. But on the 26th, on Saturday the 26th at 8 o'clock, Tremaine Hayhoe will be here with us, and we will be doing a watch party for his movie called Simp, which stars Brooke Padilla and Mikey Markoff. Mike Markoff will be here. Will be on in the. It's he co-stars in this film. It's a really good movie. Another good movie. I was really impressed with Tremaine's effort, and a little bit of Joe Leone in that mix, because that Brooke Padilla she's gonna be a keeper. She has some skills. She's a very, very charming young lady, and we already know that Mike Markov is on his way up already. He'll be he'll be filming a new project here pretty soon. Can't say anything more than that, other than that. But he's getting back to the grind, so that'll be great. All right. So Sunday the 27th, we'll be back here on my channel for Mary Wilson's turn at bat as she takes over the ISC Midnight Show. And we will be watching from 2017, The Devil's Gate, which is a very strong ISC entry. Very strong. It's a good movie. Not what you expect. Um, and I really enjoyed that. And when she picked that out for us, I was like, Mary's done it again, because everybody's gonna really like this movie. Um, yeah, and we did all right with our. We want to say thank you to everybody who came out to watch our came out to watch our in-depth look at Hunter x Hunter. Me and Mary. We were hoping that our good buddy Haas would make it, but I didn't realize till like literally like right before I sat my ass down that it was WrestleMania, because I thought WrestleMania was on a Saturday night. I did not realize it was on 2 nights. WrestleMania came out on 2 nights. I'm like, well, I thought only came on one. I didn't know they did 2 nights. I'm like, okay, well, then I thought, well, John Cena's supposed to be retiring, so I guess they could give him 2 nights. Um, Haas is a big wrestling fan, so I'm sure that's probably what happened. And no problem, no problem. Uh, he'll be back here this Sunday along with our good friend Ben from the Cadaver Club. Him and the boys will be back making an appearance, and then I do believe it will be Haas's turn to pick the new movie in May. Haas is going to pick it out, and we have no idea what he's going to be picking. It's going to be exciting, whatever it is. We are going to be covering more. We're going to be going outside a little bit outside of the ISC Midnight, because we're going to be doing some Shutter reviews. Because Shutter and ISC are basically under one and the same company. And I think that Shutter has taken over ISC Midnight. I think they have taken over that branch, which makes sense, because otherwise you'd be doing a lot of redundancy. You have two horror branches. You could do one and do it really well. Shutter seems to be having more of a track record as far as getting its movies out in the mainstream. So if that is the case, then by all means, I only ask that they just don't lose the buyers for ISC Midnight, because they're top drawer. Uh, so that would be on the 27th. On the 29th, our good friend Austin Galante returns. Austin returns on the 29th. He's got a new movie out, Driftless Road. Uh, it's a long title. I'm just going for Driftless Road right now. Um, and yeah, we're gonna go. He'll be here at 8 o'clock. we might have a couple of people joining with us. I'm not sure about that, but we're definitely going to have Austin, who's going to be here. Who's going to talk about his new movie. Looks like there's some familiar faces in it, which is really cool. I saw Matthew Kenner in it, and also Tiffany Sago will be in it as well. And the doorbell has rang, so it's time for us to go get our guests. All right. Oh man, this thing. Um, hopefully. Okay. Sorry about that. Whenever I put my phone in to plug in, it causes all sorts of dysfunction to happen. Yeah, it's mind-boggling. It's like, how is it I just want to hit my guest to come in there? You won't let me do that.
Right.
Uh, yeah. So welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Of course, this is your second visit with us, Travis. Based off when are they going to fix the lights? Um, which was a extraordinarily good short film, one of the best I've seen. And we talked about that. And we also last time we were scheduled to talk. Your wife was having just about ready to have her baby, and I thought that was really funny. How here we are, we haven't talked to each other for a couple of years, and lo and behold, she's pregnant. Ready to,
Huh.
you're pretty close, right? I mean, it's close. Oh, can they not hear me?
No, I can hear you.
Oh,
Travis's mic is not working for some reason.
oh, okay, okay, huh. I'm sorry about that. Well, we'll talk to Holt, and then you and I will talk while he works that out.
Okay.
Um, yeah, yeah, it was funny because I was supposed to interview Madison and Travis. They had
Right.
the new short film. Did you know them at this time?
At the time they did the short film,
Yes,
the short film that you were talking about just a few minutes ago.
yes.
No, no, I didn't, unfortunately. I kind of knew of them, like I knew Travis, like via social media and stuff, but I had not, like, we never really worked together or do anything like that before. You know what I mean? So,
It's yeah, because short film. I love short films. I
right.
love short films a lot. They came over and they said, we got a new one here, and I was like, yeah, let's do it because I'm all about short film,
Mm,
and so didn't know what to expect, and then
right.
played it, and this was blown away by it,
Yeah,
and
it's really good.
it is really good.
Yeah.
Why haven't they fixed the cameras yet? Totally different what you expect. You expect it to go one way, completely one way, and at the very end, it goes the other way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the skill it takes to do that for a short film cannot be ignored.
Yeah.
Not very many directors can actually do a short film like the camera and make it through. A lot of times it's just too much.
Right.
Um, Short films were now you worked on some short films yourself, right?
Some shorts and some features, TV. I directed a short a few years ago that I'm turning into a feature. So, um, Yeah, so that's a thing.
It definitely, yeah, it is a. It would you say? Would you say it's safe to say? Yeah, I wonder what happened. Uh, let me tell him to go back out and come back in. Shoot. Let me tell him that. Let me go back here to
You
my.
can hear us? You can hear us, Travis?
Can, can you? No, I don't.
Okay.
Can, so he can't hear us, right?
Yeah, I think you can hear us.
Oh, okay.
I
If you
Yeah.
can hear me, Travis, go back out and come back in.
All
Oh,
right, we'll
he
see what
says he
happens.
can. Okay, he says he can't hear us.
Yeah, you can hear us. He just couldn't. His mic wasn't working for some reason. So
Okay. Uh, uh, uh,
it's generally something on his side, though. It should be with if it's the mic.
yeah, that's really strange. But try to come leave all the way out, and then come back in. That maybe it's something on StreamYard angle. Okay. Sometimes this stuff happens.
Yeah, it is what it is. Technology is great until it's not.
Yeah, it's for I used to say I just have to sit there and say if something wasn't going on during the week with shows,
Uh,
something if something didn't foul up, then yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at your background as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how you guys got together, and I'm interested in your short film as well. You say you're trying to make it, you're pitching it to make a feature film. Um,
yeah. We're supposed to be shooting, I think, at the end of this year. So yeah,
isn't
fingers
it something?
crossed.
Isn't it something? Isn't it something how shooting goes like that? You would think that you would try to shoot as soon as possible,
Yeah,
but unfortunately, it's because of a whole different array of a whole different array of things that you have
yeah,
to wait.
yeah. Well, for me, I don't have the script ready yet. It's not where I want it to be. So that's really the major holdup, unfortunately. So it's kind of all sitting on me, but we'll figure it out.
Okay, I think it's him right here.
Holy moly.
Holy wow, there he is.
All right. This is going to go down as your most chaotic interview ever. I have a 2-year-old downstairs. Her mommy had to run on an emergency last minute. Daddy's trying to juggle cooking, trying to juggle an interview. The microphone's not working. All right.
And he's got diarrhea.
But you know what?
Even Daddy
But,
does. So
but you got an ace in the pen. So if it comes to that, we'll just tap him out and have him come over and while you take care of your family, if you have to go, don't
thank you.
sweat
So
it.
I may
Yeah.
be making some runs back and forth. I'm upstairs right now. He's downstairs. It's a mess, but
Right.
okay. We're here.
Yeah, I was just saying that. I was saying that. God, it's 2 years now.
Yeah, man.
So last time you and I talked, we talked right before that. It was supposed to be you, me, and Madison, and then she was. It was how pregnant was she when we first talked? I mean, she was real close.
Gosh, I don't know. She was probably like 10, 11 months. It was, or excuse me,
Yeah.
7, 8 months.
Yeah,
I'm like,
Like 15 months.
now. Yeah, she's still pregnant from the first baby. So
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right, yeah.
We don't know who this kid is.
It lived.
Yeah. Yeah.
The closest
day.
one I've ever had, I had an actress on here who was 8 months pregnant, and let me tell you, it was like it was the most heart-stopping show I've done. I was sitting here so nervous because I expected to have I expected her to break water right then and there.
Just any second.
Any minute, any second.
Yeah, she was ready to oh, it was like incredible. I was like, I'm going like, listen, the second you feel like you need to go, just go. Don't say anything, just go. Because I was like nervous. I was nervous for like the last thing I need to have her come on here and do this interview, and then all of a sudden go into labor pains and all that other stuff, and then be stuck here. It's like I wouldn't want that for her.
Or
Yeah.
She actually held off for two and a half more weeks after our interview before she gave birth.
There you go. Or she just takes the camera with her and she has the birth live on the podcast, and then
And then it's your biggest show ever. You know what I mean?
But and you better get a wider lens. Let me tell you that.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
great.
Yeah.
Wow.
So here we are again, 2 years later, a little more than 2 years later, and here we are again, and she's pregnant again. Now are you gonna have another boy or another girl or a girl?
I'll tell you what, my entire lineage, as far back as we have like written like a paper trail of our families, my family has done nothing but produce boys. There's not a single girl, and I have broken the curse.
Yeah.
We have a girl on the way.
Yeah.
Nice.
Same thing with me. We all my family puts out boys. I got 3 daughters. So
wow, there you go.
Yeah. Karma.
Yep. So we'll see. I'm excited. We didn't even consider a girl's name. We had 0% consideration of it possibly being a girl, and so it really punched us in the face with the realization of that. And so, but
you've had plenty of time now to you've had plenty of time now to come up with a very sweet name, which I'm sure you will. Let me go back and say hi to everybody coming through the chat. We've had some technical snafus, but we're back. Hello, Lady Val. How are you? Hi, James. How are you? Yeah. James watched the interview that I'm talking about, and he is also a interviewer as well, so he knows exactly what I was going through at that time. Extremely stressful for that night. I have to, I have to reshare that one day. I have to reshare that, or better yet, get Augie to come over and say hello. So let's talk a little bit about last time. Like I said, the last time that Travis and I met, we were talking about his short film. When are they going to fix the lights? Where are the lights going to get? I have it right here, but let me.
Why haven't they fixed the cameras?
Yeah. It's a good short. Great title too.
I tell you one thing.
I don't know.
I'll tell you one thing. Your little short film, boy, it was a lot more suspenseful and more of a thriller than Longlegs was. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Hey, I'll take it.
Oh my God! Yeah, I was actually thinking about your film when I was watching Longlegs and going like, okay, well at least I'm going to be talking to somebody who actually directed a thriller.
Right.
Wow.
All right, so this movie that we're going to be talking today, and we're going to be talking a little bit with Holt about his career as well, is I cannot think of a more timely movie. I really can't. I was thinking about this, going like, the movie's called The Eagle Death of Queen Cecilia. It is everything that it's everything that what is going on today in social media. TikTok or Substack or here in YouTube, it's and people are actually, Andy Warhol said that everybody wants their 15 minutes worth of fame. With YouTube, you're not even getting that, or social media, I should say. With social media, you're not even getting that. You're getting maybe a minute worth of fame, 15 seconds worth of fame. But once you get a little taste of it, it really changes you, and not always for the better.
It's true.
I mean, for every one person you hear, and of course they're sponsored off the Yahoo, and more power to them. I haven't heard a single hiccup about him or his reputation, and that's Mr. Beast. But then you have someone like the Logan brothers, who are just like, stuff you see in the bottom of your shoe, and you see that's what social media can do. It can elevate one person, and they can see what they can use it for to help their fellow man. And then you got like those two who, You put in the litter box and empty it out.
You know what I've found? Fame does surely it changes people, absolutely. And the larger the fame and the more the money, the more influence that has. But in many ways and in many shades, there's a great Jay-Z line: "You are who you were before you got here."
Boom. Yeah.
And I've seen people who are genuinely amazing people when I met them at the bottom. I went to high school with several people who are now in very prominent careers in Hollywood, and they were the sweetest people then, and this money and the fame has not changed that. They are genuinely one of the sweetest people I know today. And on the flip side of that, I've seen people that I came up with that are fucking assholes. And sorry, I don't know if we can curse, but
you just did.
I know the cat is out, but it's and they get some attention, and it just sprinkles it in all the wrong places, and it just really kind of just harnesses, and if anything, it reinforces that shitty side to them. And so I think yes, and in many ways, obviously, it changes, especially depending on the multitudes of the fame or the money. But I do think it's also just a core character trait,
100%. 100%.
And let's hand the mic to Holt as I run and make sure the kitchen's not on fire. 1 second.
Yeah, but piggybacking on what Travis was saying, though, no, I find that the same way too as well. I've worked with, and it breaks my heart sometimes. Like, I've worked with actors that like I grew up watching, and some of them are amazing human beings, and then sometimes, like, I remember being like in the theater and watching like, a quintessential movie that kind of like as a young teenager or whatever, go, wow. And then I end up working with that person, and then some of them just turn out to be like the biggest asshats. And I'm like, but yeah, it's bothersome. But at the same time, and I'm older, so YouTubers and stuff, that's not like a real thing to me. But one of my good buddies who actually funded my short film, yeah, he's got like 37 million followers, and he makes a crap ton of money on YouTube, and he's like the nicest guy ever. And so, I think it's just mixed bag, you know what I mean? So
yeah. I mean, I've known some people the same way. I mean, there's some people who I absolutely love to death. I think they're the nicest people. I got two more sitting here in the chat today. Our friend Valerie and James here. They're
nice.
Two of the nicest people. Two of the nicest people I know. But I also know there's several others that are. I mean, we're not talking like anything other than where we're at here. I mean,
right.
We're considered what we call small tubers.
Right.
We're just out here. I would rather be known as either you can call me a small tuber or you can call me a content creator.
Right.
I don't care. I don't care whatever. I just hopefully someone watches and someone's entertained.
Right.
But there's some people who, it's all about them. They make it all about them, and it's sort of like when I saw this movie, and I could see a lot of the same people that I know that are completely selfish. They're all about themselves. They use their followers to shield what they're trying to do. They're not always honest, or some of them are shady.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it's a really a two-edged sword. And then there's others who are really nice people, like you said. I mean, I worked for 10 years in music, and people would always ask me, what is this like? Who's this person like? And they always seem to be so disappointed when I tell them like they're nicest people. I don't have any. I have like, I don't really have any real big stories. I have maybe like 4 or 5. But you're talking about 4 or 5. Like I said, I used to tell that to people all the time. I says, I can tell you on my hands and my toes how many bad encounters I had in 10 years.
Oh yeah,
10 years.
Yeah. Right.
That I had a problem.
Right.
Most of the time, and most of that never were the artists themselves. It was always the people around them. Never them themselves. They themselves were super nice and easy to get along with. It was everybody else that wanted to get in on the action, which is
Yeah.
basically they always want to get, they always want to, they always want to be seen. Even when the role is not to be seen.
Right.
You're supposed to be a manager. You're supposed to be a road manager. You're supposed to be, dealing with, supposed to be dealing with me. You're not supposed to be dealing with anybody else that I work with. And there you go. You see them trying to muscle their way in because they want to be somebody. They don't want to be left out.
Right.
I guess that's probably the biggest thing about social media. Is that term. That term has never been more appropriate. I mean, it probably gets a little bit too overused, but quite honestly, it's the only word I can think of, and that's the fear of missing out.
Right.
So a lot of people will go to extremes to not for them to be seen. Oh, what's that person doing this week? I got to go over and find out. Or they want to see what else somebody else is doing, so they themselves can take so they can copy what the person's doing.
Right.
There's no doubt that there's no doubt that's what people do with social media. They copy, they copy each other. They see what works for somebody, and then they try to do it, and they try to apply it to themselves.
Yeah.
So let me ask the question. I guess is for Queen Cecilia, what generated the idea?
Man, it's hard to nutshell this. So the writer, director, editor, score, cinematographer, Chris Beyer. You know, we had met. We have a second short called Man Seeking Man. We had finished Why Haven't They Fixed the Cameras Yet? And we were fresh on its the start of its festival circuit. And up to that point, we had been trying to get the second short off the ground, Man Seeking Man. And for one reason or another, we couldn't find anyone who wanted to help us make it. No one wanted to shoot it. And I could think of some reasons. It's an out there short. And however, we were at the Austin Spotlight Film Fest with Why Haven't They Fixed the Cameras Yet? And Chris had a short in that block along with us. And we stood next to each other during the Q&A. We had some good camaraderie and some chemistry going during the Q&A, had some fun. And then afterwards, he gave us his card. 2 weeks later, we're on set and we're shooting Man Seeking Man. And so from that point on, we were like, okay, we got a partner in crime in this guy, Chris. And
I had no idea he shot that. I didn't know that.
There you go. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so essentially he approached us with a short that he had already shot called Public Lot. And he wanted to adapt this short into a feature. I'm going to try my best to compress this timeline because it spans 4 years, essentially. So we had the short. He wanted to adapt it. We said, let's do it. He writes the script. He brings the script. We love the script. Let's do it. We shoot about, obviously when things happen in pre-pro, changes happen, locations change, characters, jobs, all the details kind of just get washed in the mix of craziness of this life and production. And so we shot what we could, about 80% of that script over the course of like a year and a half. We cut a rough assembly cut of it. It was not good. It was bad. And just objectively, it did not work. And we're at the point where we're not sure even if we were to shoot the remaining 20% of the script, we didn't know nor think that it was enough to elevate this movie into something that we could be proud of or want to put forward. And this is Chris's first feature as well. The first feature that Madison and I had produced. And so we decided to take the best 15 minutes of that and make it into a short. We actually had two versions, a 15-minute and like a 25-minute version, which was far superior, but a lot of festivals are kind of iffy on, taking lengthy shorts. And so we kind of wanted to cover all of our bases. So these two iterations of that short, you have Baggage, you have Crossed. They enter their own respective festival circuits. They both did fairly well. Saw a lot of success, won awards, people loved it, great responses. but the consistent response to both shorts were, when are you going to adapt this into a feature? So we're like, now there's some semblance of demand for it. And we knew that there was something out there that people gravitated towards it. So we're like, okay, we went back to the drawing board. We rewrote. We figured, what were the pitfalls that led us down the wrong path of this first iteration of Queen Cecilia? What were we missing? Which the answers were loud and clear, especially watching this assembly cut. And so we really just had to take that, rewrite it into this new iteration. We were going to flesh out the character. She's never intended to be a likable character by any stretch, but
Right.
she was very unlikable. And people just didn't enjoy watching her journey at all. You don't have to root for her, but you want to at least be intrigued to watch her fall. And so, that's where all the flashback scenes were rooted out of this. And so after the drawing board, rewriting it, we reapproached all the actors involved, including Holt, and kind of roped everybody back in. And yeah, took the second stab, and that was about another year and a half of shooting. And now we're here. We feel like we stuck the landing. We cut it together. We were happy. We showed people. People seemed to genuinely resonate with it. And yes, so that is the long-winded origin story.
I'm taking it that you finding Joe was the last piece of the puzzle, though, right? I mean, how long ago did you meet Joe? I mean, was she literally a last minute type of booking? As far as getting her on there, did you have anybody else in mind before you? Because you said that she had actually came from zero background of acting. She was not an actress at all. She had no skill, no training, no nothing. But you caught lightning in a bottle. When did that happen for you? Was she the last person that you did cast? And what were you looking for in the character?
It's even crazier than that, Patrick. She was the first person we went to. No, she was there from square one. She was the building block of this entire story. Chris just saw something in her. They met on Tinder, and so they hung out. She's a public speaker for her job, and so there's just some layer of authenticity in what she does. And it started with a camera test where Chris took Joe and Steve Brudniak, who plays like the head baddie in Queen Cecilia, and she was a natural. She was just great. And so I think from that, Chris was like, he just kind of like sniffed it out of her. Like, okay, I think she has this core ability to translate whatever she needs to on screen. And the camera test was basically nothing. Like it was no prep for her or whatsoever. She was just kind of thrown into the water, and turns out she's like an Olympic swimmer. So
yeah,
from then she was part of it from day one. There was no other consideration of any other lead. It was Joe the entire way.
How about you? Now, how long into the process did it take for you before you met Joe? Did you meet her right when you started making the film? Did you know her, or did you work with her maybe running lines beforehand? What I'm saying is, like, you're an experienced actor. You got a nice body of work, so you know your way around a set. And I like to think that a lot of actors, they can sense when there's somebody that's really good. When you're watching somebody and you see where they're at, you just get that feeling of like Chris did. Like, he just looked at her, and I mentioned another director, a friend of ours, Joe Leone. That guy, I can't explain this to you. It's so interesting. That guy can cast. Like, no, he's probably the most impressive one I've talked to in my series. Everybody he touches that has no experience, and they're amazing to work with. They're amazing to watch.
This is a question for Holt, right?
Well,
Are you-
I was going to ask Colt. It's like when
Okay.
when you were on set,
One second.
when you were on set and you're watching this young lady with no experience, on the set doing her lines. What was your first impression? Were you sitting there going like, wow, we got experienced actors on this project. There's a lot of people in the movie that have done other work.
Yeah,
You know,
you know what? To be honest with you, Patrick, like this film is a long story for me because yeah, when I first, yes, I've been doing this for a long time, over half my life, and yada 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 yada. And the thing is, this is a low budget project, and when I came on board, I met Joe because there's a few action scenes in there, so we went to a shooting range to just work with some of the firearms, so forth and so on. And I met Joe then, and normally, especially like in the Austin community, you kind of know everybody. And so I signed on to this project. I didn't really know the filmmakers. I knew Travis a little bit. I go and meet Joe, and she's super timid. And then I find out they're just socializing. We hadn't run lines or anything. And then I find out that she's a friend of Chris's, the director, and she'd never acted before. And then so I'm thinking to myself, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what have I gotten myself into? I'm doing this damn movie. He's hiring friends of his who've never acted before. Like, are you crazy? Like, you know what I mean? I'm thinking to myself, like, she's the lead. Like, there's no way this is gonna work. I mean, super nice. And and then also like on set, when I found out she was a public speaker, it was so interesting for me because in person with me, she was always so timid. And but then we would go and we'd run some scenes, and I was a bit distracted because Chris is really unconventional with the way he shoots, which that's a whole different story. But so we were shooting our stuff and working through our stuff, and I'm thinking, okay, yeah, she's not bad. But then when I saw the film, like, yeah, I mean, I just I drank a big can of STFU because like Joe kills it. I don't know how she does it. The thing is, not only had she had no acting experience, she had no aspirations to be an actor. Like it wasn't like she was taking classes and studying
right.
and wanting a break. Like she had zero aspirations to ever be an actor. And even now, like she's like, yeah, I don't know if I mean, she has no real desire to do it again. Like this is like a one-off movie. But I thought she was so fucking good in the movie. Like I was sorry about the dog, but yeah, I was blown away. And no, but I didn't get like the whole time when I'm going to set, I'm going, wow, the actor's a friend of the director's. Like she's never acted before. Like this is going to be. And then and it was a rough shoot. I mean, it was a rough shoot overall. We shoestring budget. We were out in Texas heat, and so I'm just thinking like, oh my, I'm going to chop this up to one of a learning moment for myself to not get myself in these situations again. And then I see the film.
I'm sure Chris was sitting there. I'm sure he was. I'm sure he's sitting there going like, "Thank God I got somebody like Holt here." Believe me, in the back of his head, he's sitting there going like, "I would be up Shit's Creek without an experienced operator such as Holt and some of the other actors."
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I went from like Chris, and there's a lot of stuff I just didn't know until later on. It was such a frustrating shooting experience. And so I go in, he's cast his friend who's never acted before as the lead. He's just running around with a camera, just grabbing footage. In on a film, like generally how you cover stuff is people who don't know, you get the master shot, the wide, and then you go in for coverage. Ideally, you'd like to have two cameras, and then that's the scene, for the most part. Chris is just running around with camera. He's getting it from here, from there, from over there, from back over there. And I'm like going, this guy doesn't even know what he's doing. Not only so he's casting friends, he doesn't know what he's doing. But yeah, now I think he's a genius, and I thank God that it all worked out. Like but it's such a. In fact, I don't think you get it. Like I had like I was so like. And I've told Travis this multiple times, and I've apologized. Like, I did think I did my job, but like, the whole time I was there, like I was salty, and I'm like, what the hell? I wanted to fight Chris. I wanted to kick Travis in the shins, and I'm like, what am I doing? He's casting friends, and I see the film, and I'm like going, "Oh my God, thank you so much for for allowing me to be in your film." Like I'm so proud of it.
Ain't it something? It's something like that. It's like sitting there and talking with Joe, thinking, oh, this is their first first acting job, or their first or second acting job, and I'm like, it's raw. They're raw. They're rookies. They haven't got any formal training, and then next thing you know, he throws it out there, and you're sitting there going like, Jesus Christ, this is good. This is
Yeah,
it's really good.
yeah,
How did he know? How the hell did he know?
yeah. No,
And
Chris is like he's got some kind of like he's a savant. So I don't get it, but like I went from wanting to fight Chris to like I want to move in with Chris. I want to be his best buddies. I want us to hang out. Like I want him to have my children. Like you know what I mean? Like it's just I love Chris. So
I can
uh,
erase.
so 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 I mean the subject itself, the social media aspect of it. I mean, we're all a little older, and it's something, it's something I think that most people are younger would have caught eye of something like this, but we're all a little bit older, and I'm really impressed that the idea came out to do this film and to show, because I know a lot of people might look at this movie and look at it's just a movie, but Jesus Christ, I don't know if anybody's noticed before, but a lot of, and the mainstream media is they've done their part in creating people like Cecilia, because they give them even more of a platform. If you didn't give
Mhm.
anybody, if you didn't, if someone, some YouTube star robs, did a prank or robbed somebody's car, or someone, if you didn't report on it, if you didn't talk about it, they would go away.
right.
There'd be nothing to feed it, and it seems to me like the mainstream media feeds that and creates characters like Cecilia, um, and it's frustrating to watch, because like some people, maybe they weren't, like you said, maybe they weren't like that when they first started out, but here it is, a year later, and they're being arrested. Some of them are being killed. Some are, some just, they just end up disappearing. They burn out. They fade away. Um, so did any of you know anybody like these people? Like, was there anybody, that you drew upon for Cecilia to pattern your film after? Like, and did they know that you were doing it?
Um, you could say, you could call this the ego death of Travis White, because I am a fledgling YouTuber. I had a medium. I was like a mid card YouTuber back in '07, and I had a great following, and I watched that following dwindle and slip
Mhm.
in between my fingers. I was a delivery driver. I've worked for Amazon. There's a lot of angles to Cecilia that was mined from my life. But on top of that, yeah, we absolutely, everyone knows someone who thought they had the magic. They moved to LA and they found the hard way, 6 months to a year later they moved back to Austin, and the harsh reality kicks in. Um but just in general, I mean, it's kind of become its own archetype in life. Like in my day, before social media, it was rappers. Every high school in our district had 5 to 10 rappers who were like, "I'm gonna be the one. I'm the next one. I'm the next one. I'm the hottest." And then, of course, none of them go on to obtain anything that they wished or sought to. Um, and so, in the whole, like, I wouldn't recommend anyone approach their film the way that we did. It's not conducive for health or stress. It's it was constantly, I mean, we were basically trying to fix the plane as it was falling down. Social media was not, there's no aspect of social media in the first iteration of the script before we really started like kicking into gear for pre-production and everything. She had no aspirations of fame. She was a waitress, and she just saw an opportunity to get money to blackmail this guy Brad. And so in just and then we're like, well, we don't have a restaurant. And so it's like, well, what do we have? We have a warehouse. Okay, well, what can you do at a warehouse? It's like, oh, well, I've worked for Amazon, and I've worked for other startup delivery companies. And so that's how we kind of imprinted that there. And then we needed some kind of internal kind of something more interesting than I want money. And so we knew we needed some kind of internal goal for Cecilia. And with that, we're like, okay, well, obviously we're not the first to broach social media and influencers or wannabe influencers, but at the time it was not oversaturated by any stretch. And so we thought that was an interesting place to go. In fact, going back to me being a failed YouTuber in the movie, when Cecilia is looking at the graph and seeing the downfall and just observing like her entire online person crashing, that's my graph. That was my YouTube graph. That graph we pulled from my account. And so I mean, we really just had to take, which is, I guess, kind of more or less normal.
What was your peak point as far as followers goes? I mean, how many did you have?
Look, I had 8,000, and at the time in 07, 8,000 was like having 100,000. Like eight. The inflation. What is it? No, I don't think no one had 1 million followers. That was unheard of. I think at the time in 07, like 5 people maybe broke 100K followers. I mean, it was a much more insulated community at the time. Now it's obviously it's like everyone and their mom access to upload a YouTube, but it was a much more of a community than just an app, at the time. And so if I were to, hardly anyone was hitting 1 million views. Obviously there are plenty of exceptions, but it's just to make I actually lived off of my YouTube account. That's how I paid my rent. That's how I paid my groceries. I was part of the first 50 YouTubers to get enrolled into the Google AdSense enrollment program. So I was like literally among the first 50 to get paid off YouTube. And of that 50, again, I was like mid to low tier, but it was enough to keep me afloat and to keep fueling my ideas and dreams. And that led us to taking a stab at a web series and all these other comedy sketch ideas. And then I had a band. I've been obsessed with music my whole life. So I had one, my comedy kind of online career pulling me one way, but my heart wanted to be more into music. And so the more I tried to imprint my music side onto my comedy YouTube channel, naturally the base that I had spent years growing was like, nah, bro, we don't want any of that. And so
were you shocked to see how? And when people were watching, when you were sitting there, you're watching this, knowing this is, did you know that this was Travis's story that they were basically shooting? Did you already know that? Or
no? We kind of talked about. I remember us talking about it. I remember very specifically because we were in the bathroom at the hotel across from the parking garage that we shot on day one, putting on my tattoos because I had these fake tattoos. And so we're just making small talk, and we didn't have any authorization to be in that bathroom to be doing this. So anybody walks in and there's just a dude putting some tattoos on another shirtless dude, not a big deal. And Travis is telling me about, he was a rapper, and he told me kind of about his YouTube stuff because I had again, going back to my short film, was funded by a YouTuber that I didn't know who he was, but the guy makes millions of dollars, and he's like, oh yeah, and so we kind of talked about that. But I remember very specifically, it was a very surreal, like, you're a rapper, really? We're in this bathroom. How you doing, sir? Like, it was a very it was just interesting. There's nothing not interesting about every day that I worked on this film. But yeah, so I do remember telling you that.
I'm just thinking, and just thinking about that too. You know, it's interesting. It's interesting, you know, the part about you noticing how your followers started fading off. And the fact of the matter is that YouTube has always been the one pulling the buttons. You know, like, you know, whether you get followers or you don't get followers, you know, now you know now you can take the lessons from that you first learned and you apply it today, you know, and to see what the pitfalls are today. And the pitfalls are a lot more today than they were back in your day. Back then, we had 8,000. You were making a living.
Yeah.
Here now, 8,000. You're
Nothing.
me. Yeah, you're me. You know, we're just, you know, we're all just small tubers.
Yes. Yeah.
And you get people who buy the followers. I've seen channels that will, even though they're not supposed to, but I've seen channels buy people, you know, so they look good, so to perspective, so they can be influencers. Like I have 35,000 followers. I have 50,000 followers.
Mhm.
But do you really? You know, and the thing
Right.
is, though, people always think that they can get away. People can get away. They can get over on people. But it's wow.
No,
So
they have 200K followers, but each post gets like 3
yes,
likes, 2
Right.
comments. And you're
yes,
like, oh, interesting.
yeah. That's exactly how you can tell when they're full of shit. You just
Mhm.
look at if they go from like 10,000, you know, on a Friday and coming back to 50,000 on a Wednesday. Just continue to watch yeah. So when the followers started falling away, what were some of the reactions that you have for it? Did you just think that they would come back? I mean, now we sort of got an idea. You know, this is about you a little bit. So what did you do to try to get back to where you were, and how did you apply it to your story? Did you share basically your entire story on your social media? And through, I mean, was Cecilia basically you throughout the whole movie? I mean, maybe minus the shenanigans, because
Yeah. No, to be crystal clear, Cecilia's just has sprinkles of me. It's not like entirely based. I just supplied kind of the springboard to reach the other ideas that we eventually got to. But I mean, but up to that point, we were throwing everything up against the wall to see what stuck. But to answer your question, I was I would like to say I was a little more aware than my contemporaries. I definitely saw the sand slipping between my fingers, and I was a bit more. I was conscious that, like, and very stubborn that, you know, I'm not supplying the comedy the way I did. I'm kind of forcing my music down their throats the way I did. I was aware. I kind of smelled it coming. And, you know, but of course, everyone has some ego to them. And of course, it crushed me. Like, music was my passion. And it's like, of course, you're like, damn it. Like, they don't love me for what I really want to be loved for. And,
right.
and so, and then and on top of that, the deeper I got into it, also the more precious I became with everything. You know, I used to drop a video a week, maybe 5 videos a month, and then that became 1 video a month, and then that became 1 video every 4 months, and then that became 1 video. So a combination of like just change of guard and content, and also I was just putting out stuff less and less, and with that, like, my depression grew, and I think being aware of that did not help in that department. And you know, even when I was doing the music thing, I always knew film had a special hold in my life and in my heart. And I would often sharpen those swords through my music videos. I wrote, produced, directed every single music video that I've ever shot. So I knew I was scratching that itch, and that would be a transition at some point, you know. The whole reason I moved to Austin was because I was also trying to be an actor. And then in doing so and getting the lack of roles that I felt like I wanted, I was like, okay, well, let me kind of It's Always Sunny this and write and produce my own material to star for myself. And that's what that web series was. And then eventually I just kind of kept shifting further and further behind the camera to where I was like, okay, maybe I don't want to be, a Will Ferrell or whatever. Maybe I want to be a Judd Apatow.
Mhm.
And that was, I guess, my progression to that phase. And once you're at that point, it's like, I mean, my YouTube had fallen off. I think I felt like I just started from scratch. And then I had a small video production company, and I still had the band, which was also picking up steam independently from YouTube. And my production company wanted to move to New York. And so I was at another fork in the road of like, well, the music stuff is kind of taken off, but I want to be a part of this family. I made the decision to stay back in Austin and focus on music. And again, I spent that time honing in everything production wise through music videos. And then of course everything fell apart with the band. And then I felt like I started again with once I met Madison, we realized that we had these sensibilities overlapping and we wanted to really dive deep into film together. And so
Was she into social media when you first met her?
I mean, she's calling right now. No. She was just a normal college gal having fun. Like nothing crazy. She never wanted to be like an influencer whatsoever. But
do you find it ironical that back in the day that you couldn't get through the door at all? You couldn't get through the door at all. And even if because it's like, who are you? Or you have, people just weren't opening it. Today, now you're starting to see where even people with a name, like an acting name, now they're asking you. Now we're hearing this all the time that one of the things they ask is, and I was going to ask, all if this has happened to him yet. Have you been asked about when you push this to festivals or for feature films, you push this out to the distributors? Do they ask you? Have you been asked yet about your following today? Like, how big is it? I mean, even today's actors with names, famous acting names, they're still being asked about their social media aspect of it. It's almost like, before you would look at someone from a famous family and go like, okay, well, I'm going to cast them because they're from a famous family, and that's going to bring me noise. They might not be a very good actor, but what does it matter when it's somebody that's from a famous family? But now that doesn't seem to be good enough anymore. Now it's like, okay, well, okay, so you're part of one of those families, but what else do you bring to the table as far as social media goes? Have you seen that yourself, Holt? I mean, or have you overheard any of your peers? Have you overheard any of your peers talk about that?
Yeah, no, I think that's dying down. I think a little bit because I remember like 3 to 5 years ago or so, I remember hearing about like at auditions and stuff, they would want to know basically like how many followers you had on certain social media. And um yeah, for me, like to be honest with you, I don't know that I would stay at the audition. If that's you know, being an actor is really, really tough.
Mm.
Uh from the standpoint, not about the actual work, remembering lines and everything, but what is really, tough for me as an actor is you're really the smallest piece of the puzzle. You know what I mean? And especially, um, you know, my job is to show up and come prepared, make choices, and then create puzzle pieces for the filmmaker and the editor to put it together, and hopefully it all works out well. So, long story short, to go back to your question is, but then on the other side of that, you don't know how the film is going to turn out. As the actor, you're the last person to know how the film is going to turn out. And I've been in the worst films ever made, like just garbage. And
Wait a minute, I gotta wait a minute. I might have to bail you out of here because
yeah,
I can tell you, I've seen some bad ones here. And I'll tell you
Yeah.
if I'll see if I'll tell you if you've been in some bad ones.
Yeah, no, there's one that I guarantee is the worst film ever made, but that's beside the point. But but going back to your question is like I do care a lot about the work that I do, and the they were paying very little on Queen Cecilia. I really like the script, and I really like showed me a proof of concept, and that's why I did it. But going back to your question about social media followers and stuff, yeah, if a producer's asking me that, like, it's probably not a project that I want to be involved in. So, but I myself have never been asked that, like, luckily. So, but it was a thing for a while. I think that's kind of dying down a little bit, though. I think so. Could be wrong.
Oh my God, I'm just so impressed. In fact, there's a movie in here that you did that I reviewed, and man, it was so much. It could have been to me. It was like it could have been. This could have been awesome. Um, and my buddy, he got on me about my review. He tore me a new one.
Really? What was it? What was the film?
I wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad, but he went to town on my ass. It was a movie called The Pale Door.
Ah, yeah,
Yeah.
You guys got snake bit though with the weather with that movie. I listened to
No, dude, I was only on the Pale Door for like just like 3 or 4 days, I think. But also too, like Aaron Kuntz and the team that put that together, they want to go shoot a western, a western in Oklahoma during hurricane season.
yeah,
Like, and it's, yeah, I mean, it's like in it wasn't like, oh, we got lucky and nothing happened. No, we were running from like
yeah,
tornadoes and stuff. I remember I left the hotel one day. I'll make this quick because we're not talking about the Pale Door, but I left the hotel and I was headed to set, and then I get a text, and me and the other actress I'm with are driving to set, and we're seeing like just hell in front of us. But
yeah.
I'm not used to tornado stuff, so I'm not thinking about it. And then I get a text from the producer say, "Hey, don't leave the hotel. They're putting everybody in the bomb shelter." I'm like, well, fuck, I'm 15 minutes out from the hotel, and it doesn't look any better in the direction I'm going. Luckily, we dodged it, but it was just like, for me as like from a producer standpoint, because I produce stuff as well too, just the stress involved. Like, are you gonna make your day? Like, are you gonna get everything you needed to get done shot in a day? Shooting a film that's predominantly outside in the hurricane season in Oklahoma, just I don't know how they did it, but they did something.
I don't know either. I listened to the commentary and I was listening to how that movie was made, and I was sitting there going like, man, you guys were just lucky as hell. I mean, they're talking about the weather and the rattlesnakes were everywhere, and it's like it just seemed to be, and you can definitely see how working underneath those conditions could affect your movie.
Oh, for sure.
Let's apply that to Cecilia. I mean, once you decided to make a movie about Cecilia, how many people actually could relate to the subject matter? I mean, sometimes you do a movie and you mention a subject matter and people are looking at each other going like, what? But why do I have a feeling especially when you go to distribute this movie, why do I have a feeling you're not going to have any problem at all getting this out there?
Well, because I think influencers, once upon a time it was like what the hell's an influencer? How are they making this much money? I think
it's not a real job.
I think socially and society has a better idea, and they've further wrapped their head around the concept of an influencer. And I think with that becomes, everyone has and this is kind of like the seed that we're eating off of as far as relatability, is everyone had or has something that they attach their ego to, and we were all told in some way like, no, you're special, you could do anything you want if you put your mind to it, and the world will love you for it and kiss your feet. And I think whether it's music, whether it's movies, whether it's social media, whether it's
sports, whatever,
exactly, there's something, that a hill that your ego is willing to die on to say or provide you with your self-worth. And
100%.
I think now that is more mutually understood, even if you have no aspirations to be an influencer whatsoever. You have that core line of like, oh, like the desperation of you see greener pastures. The reality is you're never gonna actually step foot on that grass. And
When she's talking to the agent, when she's talking about the agent, she's sitting there going like, "Well, can I get back to where I once?" And the agent's sitting there going like, "Oh yeah, 10K." I'm going like, "Yeah, that sounds about right."
even 20K now. And so
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
so yeah, we thought like, yeah, the climate of where we are in reality is, reality, this bubble, whether it's reality TV or social media, it's inescapable right now. I think everyone, whether you have aspirations for it or not, you could just be a drunk girl on the side of a bar or a road of bars and then say a single line, and suddenly you are worldwide famous.
oh god, the Hawktua girl.
Exactly.
Look, that's a great example. I mean, no one knew who the hell she was. She said Hawktua, and instantly, and everything that I mean, she just, you couldn't help but feel sorry for her. If she had absolutely zero, she had zero idea what was coming her way.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted a piece of her. They all they saw her as, they weren't there to help her. They were there to step on her.
No, and now she's ensnared in this controversy of like cryptocurrency pumping and dumping, and she had the wrong people behind her whispering in her ears, and now she's kind of had we've seen this this microwave wavelength of rise and fall before our very own eyes, and
Yeah,
almost at a peak of which we've never seen from someone who again is just a random chick on the street.
yeah,
And and so it could happen to anyone at any place at any time. I think that there's a layer of awareness in that sense, and then you have the people who like that is their core like MO in life is to hit record, gain followers, do the stupid TikTok dances, and become famous, popular, rich through these weird methods that I think again now we're kind of like wrapping our heads around and being like, okay, there's some layer of understanding there.
do you think people are going to look at your movie? Are they going to see Cecilia as someone to because you mentioned before about her being likable or unlikable? Do you think people will see her as an anti-hero, in the sense that she's chasing down her dreams, she's not letting anybody tell her no, she's doing whatever it needs to, whatever it takes to do it, she's going to do it? Are they going to will they look at her as just being pathetic, or they look at her as someone who's just really really over ambitious?
I think the core of it is just, and with what we, in my opinion, did successfully with the second iteration of the feature, I think the core of it is she is just has that extra layer of empathy from the audience, whereas before it was just this dumb girl who's making dumb decisions and has no likable quality or redeeming quality whatsoever. And then in this case, like, it's not I think now in this new iteration you're seeing what the empathy is connected to is desperation. I think you're watching a desperate woman throwing her life away just to obtain a 16th minute of fame. And in that, whether you like her or not, I mean, I haven't come across many people who have verbalized I like her. I think they love her character because she's a very tragic character. And I think supplying that empathy and relatability is what opened the door to that.
100%.
But yeah, I think I had another thought, but I've lost it.
Yeah, but I think, like, going to your point, Travis, I do think you know, it can be whether it be financially or fame or as an athlete, you attach your ego to something,
Mm.
and that becomes your identity. That becomes who you are, and especially if you've reached a high level, and that's why like so many like legendary fighters come back out of retirement, like Sugar Ray Leonard, just because he didn't like not being that guy anymore. You know what I mean? And in just I think what a lot of people can relate to, whether you made a lot of money and lived really well and lost all in the stock market, and just but that at one time that was your ego. You knew you were doing well. You were very successful, so forth and so on. To get that feeling about yourself again, I think a lot of people can relate to.
For sure.
Uh, uh, what was Joe's reaction to herself watching herself on the big screen? I mean, how does she you know and or how you know how or did she come up to either one of you and ask any questions about getting into building the character, becoming the character, to make the character come to life? Did she come to either one of you two and ask for help and guidance for the role?
It was all Chris. Chris was her guiding light, her training, her learning the ropes. This was very specific to Chris's vision, in especially the direction of Cecilia Doleon. She just went through a boot camp, and Chris was cracking the whip. Chris had his own kind of personal growth as a director from day one to day whatever it was that we repped. And I mean, even Holt in many ways like witnessed this growth in he used to be quite the whip cracker on set, and he had to learn himself like how to better approach, to better mold the clay that's on his table, in a way that makes everyone feel fulfilled, or utilized in a way that they wished. Like Holt being upset during that first day or couple days, completely understandable. We were all kind of running around with their heads cut off. This was our first go at anything major outside of a short, so we were all learning through trial and error. Holt unfortunately was a victim to that, and in many ways. And so we were learning as we were going. Like I said, we took off on the plane and we realized that we were missing an engine, and so we were frequently trying to piece our landing together as we're in midair. And so, but that said, I do think us in the first iteration of Queen Cecilia versus us in the second, we grew a lot. We had the 1,000-yard stare. We were more aware of ourselves and what each other were doing and how that affected everyone else on set. So it was truly like, I'm so glad we got to do Chris's feature instead of mine first, because this was a massive learning experience for Madison and I and everyone involved. And I mean, I'm taking away things from this that I'm surely going to implement in my feature moving forward. And just, we all learn through mistakes and learn like, okay, we need to change this. We need to alter that.
It really comes down to that, right? I mean, like, for one thing, whip crackers, especially these days, whip crackers, they don't last very long in this business. They just don't. I mean, if especially if you don't have any sort of background, like unless you got some serious hardware behind you, coming across and just being really intense and like I said, cracking the whip and whatnot. People just they're just a lot better trained today.
Mm-hmm.
They know they don't really necessarily have to do that today, put up with that today.
For sure.
And God, I rarely ever hear that. Actually, I think you're probably only like the third or fourth time I've ever heard anybody talk about a director and being a little bit, but but they learn. They learn. It's like I can tell you right now how he treated Joe, certainly not the way he treated you, Holt. I can tell you that right now.
No, I think it's similar too, is because they had a personal relationship where I was more of like a hired gun. So you know, you
Yeah.
talk to your friends different than you know, yada yada yada. And but no, like for me, you know, I love Chris. I like Chris and Travis. Like I'm like let's you know let's move in together. But like no, like and it wasn't even like the first few days. It wasn't even. It was more of and I was frustrated too because it was out of my own frustration too as well. I just wrapped a film on day one. I just wrapped a film like at 2 a.m. and then I think my call time for Cecilia was 7 a.m.
Mm.
And I wrapped that short film like way late. The one that ended the night before, supposed to end like at 11, and then I had to drive to Round Rock and to get my clothes. But no, it ended at 2:30, and then Round Rock, sleep for like an hour, take a shower, then head over to Cecilia. It's like 150 degrees. We're on top of a parking structure, and then I'm working with a girl who's never acted before, and then Chris is just running around with the camera everywhere, and I'm just thinking like, I'm gonna punch myself in the face. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was just one of those things. But it was yeah, but then, and I did. But also too, like for me, it bothers me because like I said, I've been in the worst movies ever made. In worst movies ever made, 100%. And I was the lead. I was a star. Like my name's on the poster, and worst film ever made. And
Oh my.
so, and you learn like what the red flags are. You know what I mean? You weren't learn like, all right, this is yeah, this is all right. I can tell, or I met the director. And you know what? I think I'm unavailable. And I like the script, and I like the proof of concept. Um, and then I'm there, and we're shooting, and I'm like, I obviously have no career left. I suck at everything. I need to just jump off this parking structure because it'll be better than what I'm doing right now. And like, yeah, now like I see the film, and I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing. And yeah, I just so it wasn't even. It was just a lot of my own. But this also too, what broke me is a lot of the red flags that I felt I was getting off of this set
Mm-hmm.
were. I would now seeing the film, I'd do it 50 times in a row over again, like I would. You know what I mean? For half the money, and um, and so like
Is
now I have no way to gauge.
that because of is that because of the importance of the story? Because this is
Yeah,
without being maudlin about it, but it's sort of like an after school special in a sense. Like you go and you watch these people, and it's like I said before, the beginning of the show. It's like this is not a glamorous movie. This is not. We're not. You're not. You didn't glamour this up. You didn't make it seem like she's living the life of Riley, and next thing you know, then she's not. I mean, basically, this is a cautionary tale.
Mm.
Be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for, because you might not be able to hold on to it.
Right.
And then what are you going to do? Then what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And I think it's an important film for people to see. I mean, I think it's something that it's like I would recommend it. I definitely would recommend you need to watch this if you're gonna, because I hear this all the time. I mean, and I'm sure Travis heard this all the time when he first started out too. But I hear all the time about people, want to become big YouTubers. I remember when I very first started out. I didn't necessarily say that because I didn't know what the hell, I didn't know what I was doing. But I would hear people all the time sign up to go like, I'm going to be a big tuber. I'm going to be a big tuber. And then a year later, they're still sitting over there, and they're still sitting there with, 1,000 people, and they're going inside the same group that I went to, a year before, and they're going in there now, and they're seeing all these new people come in, and what are they doing? They're saying the same thing. I can't wait to
Right.
be a big tuber and this and that. It's like, and I think, I remember distinctly going like, wow, there's not very many people here looking to help me out. Like it's not like anybody's gonna reach out there and say, hey, so what kind of things are you? No one really did that too much.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in a couple of years later, here I am in that room, and what am I doing? What am I doing in that room? Absolutely
Yeah.
nothing. Absolutely
Right.
nothing. Keeping my mouth shut because I don't
Right.
know. Like, how should I do? What should I do? How can I get out? You're asking the wrong person. I'm just. So where are you at as far as Cecilia being released? Do you have a distributor yet that you would like to take this movie to, or are you going to take the festivals first?
We're definitely in the middle of our festival circuit. We world premiered at Austin Film Fest, which also doubled as like our hometown like cast and crew and friends screening, which was great. Um, we we screened at Dances with Films New York, where we won Best Feature. We Other than that, we've sprinkled in a couple of smaller regional festivals like Boomtown and Prison City, where we won Best Feature again, and right now, we're just waiting to hear back from other festivals. As far as distributors, we are talking with Peacock right now,
Oh,
and no expectation on that going anywhere. But that's where we are right now. Truthfully, we are heavily leaning into self distribution. We think that's probably our best route to kind of maximize all of our depression and struggles and tears and blood
it,
and
it would be it would be nice to get a physical copy of the movie.
Heck yeah, that'd be amazing. That's a dream come true for me. Not so much Chris. I love the hard
Yeah,
media. I
old
love
man.
commentary tracks, special features. I want to like jam whatever we can possible if that opportunity ever arises. But
Yeah, I love all those aspects too. I mean, there's nothing more interesting to me than getting a director's commentary and listen to him tell how the movie got made, or this is what they did or didn't do. Sometimes the cast will get into it and they'll just, you can tell how much fun they had, how much joy they had working together. They might not say anything really heavy per se, but you can definitely tell that they were still friends, like I think my favorite commentary I ever listened to was the one for the Resident Evil. The
Mm,
second, those people were on fire. You can't help but listen to that commentary track and just laugh your ass off. It's
mm.
you can tell that they had so much fun doing this movie. Um,
that's good.
uh, how about you? What do you got plans for the rest of 2025? Um, what's your hopes for the movie?
Yeah, my hopes for the movie, for Cecilia. Yeah, I love this film. Like, also too, like, yeah, I don't think you guys get like if you look, yeah, you looked at my stuff. I've got a bunch of credits, and that's all fine and dandy. But it's probably one of three, and I wasn't even the lead in it. You know what I mean? Like I'm a major protagonist in it, or antagonist in it. Um, but yeah, it's one of those like gems that I'm so happy that I did. It's probably one of three films that you know uh, I'm the proudest of in my entire career, and I don't get it. Like I don't get how my experience in Crazy Chris and like I had a friend of mine, you know, Brian Villalobos is a good friend of mine. He's in my short, who's also going to be my feature. He's a actor here
Amazing.
locally that's well known. And when Travis first approached me for this, I asked Brian, so hey, tell me about Travis. Go, Travis is good people, man. He's good people. So I'm like, cool. Brian says he's cool. And then I get go shoot for a few days on Cecilia. Then I'm yelling at Brian, what the hell did you get me mixed up in? But I I love this movie so much, and the fact that it was shot for as little money it was shot for. I remember what the sequence that really stuck for me when I saw the short was going through the Mexican border,
Hmm.
and that's what I thought. Wait, is this Chris a fucking genius? Wait, was I wrong about this guy? You know what I mean? And yeah, and so I just man, I hope I wanted to get out there. I think it's gonna have a following, whether it's self distributed or however it happens. Um, it's I do. I think it's an amazing film, and I just I want the best for it. So yeah, I wanted to get out there, and not even for my own. I'm just coattailing. Like I'm just happy to be involved. You know what I mean? Buzz my head, put on some tattoos, and just yell at people. That was my job. But yeah, like I just wanted to get out there. That's a long answer.
My man.
Uh, how about you? What about you, Travis? I mean, now this one's what they say. Once this one's over with, what's next for you and Wet Denim Productions? What do you want to do next?
Well, Chris and I just pretty much were wrapped up with a short that we shot just kind of on a whim, And so we did that. Where it's going to go, we don't know. Obviously, we'll sprinkle it into some festivals, but outside of that, I've been developing my first feature that I plan to shoot. I mean, ideally, I would shoot it before the second baby pops out, but something tells me life is going to
accelerate
other plans. But that I've got that. Just writing, developing, trying to see what sticks to the wall and what makes sense and what resonates, and that's really what it's all about. We're already developing Chris's next feature, and of course, like whatever we're doing, we would love to have Holt involved in any capacity. I've been a big fan of Holt for years now. I mean, I've caught him in many shorts and many features and just here and there, and that is what his short Crazy with Brian Villalobos is what essentially was like, okay, like we have to get this guy involved with Queen Cecilia. And dude, even just having Holt a part of the roster is an investment in itself, because everywhere we take this movie, everywhere someone sees it and they go, oh my God, Holt. Everywhere someone recognizes Holt. Oh my God, Holt. Whether he was in their short or their feature, or whether they saw something that they loved with him involved in it. Holt is such like a staple to the Austin acting community and filmmaking. And so
they're gonna probably start calling you the Eric Roberts of Austin's filmmakers.
Maybe I've been called worse. Yeah, and I'll send the check, Travis. Just send me your Venmo. But yeah, no, it just you know, I've got such an emotional connection with this. I know I've talked about it over and over again, but like, you know, I love the fun. You know, you asked me, you know, why did I feel like I would do it 50 times in a row now? Just, I'm all about the final product. I've poured my heart into films, my heart, and done all the research and come fully prepared into just turd sandwiches, you know, when you see the final product. And so I go, Chris, his friend that's never acted before, Travis, what the hell are you doing? Can I get a bottle of water? What the hell's going on? And it's so hot right now. And these fake tattoo. Does this look real? What's going on here? And then, you know, they were staying in this dingy motel out. I can't remember where we shot that, but it just, my experience was like, you know, this is. And then when I found out they cut it into a short, because initially we were shooting a feature. I'm like, well, of course we cut it into a short because you couldn't make a feature out of that. And then when I saw this short, someone else actually sent me the short, because I was done with these guys. And I'm like, oh, I need to call them right now. And, you know, and then to go and see the feature and it turned out as well as it did, like, I just like, yeah, I'll be like, yeah, Travis, Chris, you know, you got my number, man, you know, call me. So, yeah. But,
yeah.
Well, I think it came together beautifully. It's a powerful film. It's one that I recommend. You know, it's, you know, especially those especially if parents are watching the movie. Even though this is about a young adult, a young female adult in her early 20s, but still, I still would recommend this movie. You know, watching it for the message it sends about the pitfalls of social media and some of the detriment that can happen. You know, and it has happened. Like I said before, people have gone. They've either been arrested for felonies, they've gone missing, they've gone dead. You know, they've you know, suicided out. You know, there's a lot of things that have happened when you become a big social media voice, and not everything is all good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have hit our button. I want to thank Travis and Holt for coming out here and hanging out with us. This is a good one. I really appreciate you guys taking the time and coming out and explaining your film, why it is important. And Holt, believe me, I looked again on your resume. You have not seen that many movies, my brother. If you think that you've been in 3 of the worst ones, because I've looked at your resume, it's pretty damn solid.
Bigfoot Wars. Check out Bigfoot Wars if you guys want to. That's a
which one?
Bigfoot Wars. That's on there. Good luck checking that out. Check that out, and then you know.
You know what? The thing is, see, that's right up my alley. I love movies like Bigfoot Wars, and I'll dig it. I'll love it.
Yeah.
I'll think it'll
It's
be
me. I'm the lead. It's me, C. Thomas Howell, and Judd Nelson. And the
right.
'80s kid in me was like, "Oh my God, I'm I'm going to grocery shopping with Pony Boy, so for our hotel." And yeah, no, yeah. But anyway, I'm not bad mouthing the project that I've been involved with,
No,
except for
no.
Bigfoot Wars.
If you ever see C. Thomas Howell, ask him about Attack of the Killer Donuts.
Yeah, I
Wow.
love Tommy and I actually. Yeah, I love giving him crap about uh, his filmography.
I love the fact that he can get up there and do a movie like that. Makes me
Yeah,
laugh. Makes me feel,
yeah,
makes me feel hopeful. Like,
yeah,
he's getting out there. He's having a lot of fun. Everybody's watching the movies. I can watch this movie again. That's to me, isn't that really what we want? Is to sit
yeah,
there
yeah.
and watch the movie. Yeah. Cecilia is one of those movies, by the way.
Nice.
You could definitely see. Damn, I mean, you can actually probably edit out. You can probably edit out a copy of it, make it more of a PG-13, and you could probably run it through churches.
God bless you.
God bless.
I mean,
Jesus Christ. Yeah, yeah,
or some high school kids or whatever, and say, some people who could be, just people are, they just run pell mell without and nobody says nothing to them, so they run head on to the clip. But it's like, hold on, before you take that last step, watch this, then
right.
then talk to us about it, and then go on and do what you're going to do.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure.
All right. Well, thank the small chat that we had. I know this is going to be a rewatch episode, and that's fine. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you. If you have any questions for me, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. I want you guys to stay there for a minute. I'm going to say goodnight to everybody else. We will see you on Saturday at 8 o'clock for our watch party. Tremaine Hayho and I will be here to watch and comment on Simp. 8 o'clock. Speaking of finding a young talent, Tremaine found one in an actress named Deidre. No, yeah, Deidre Pidera and Brooke Pidera. Oh, I said Deidre. I don't know why I call it that. Brooke Pidera. Just a really, really talented young actress, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for her. All right, guys, we'll see you Saturday night. Peace. Yeah, I gotta get us out of here.
God, the beginning.